Hello, hello, kiddos! Welcome to Berks County Quarantine's Children's Hour. I just thought that I'd share a cute mask that was made for me by a good friend of mine to make sure to remind everybody to be wearing their masks out if you have to go out in public during this difficult time. But hey, I'm Jessie. Welcome to Stories and Songs with Jessie for the next half an hour. And I made my banner, or I guess the frame around me underwater themed, and I'm wearing rainbows because I thought that I would start out our children's hour today by reading a book that's very, very dear to me called The Rainbow Fish. This book came out the year that I was born, 1992. And this book was gifted to me by, one of my dear aunts. So, shout out to Aunt Kim. Thank you so much. All right, let's get started with our story then. I hope you enjoy. A long way out in the deep blue sea, there lived a fish. Not just any ordinary fish, but the most beautiful fish in the entire ocean. His scales were every shade of blue and green and purple, with sparkling silver scales among them. Check out that rainbow fish. Yeah. He's pretty shiny and beautiful. The other fish were amazed at his beauty. They called him the rainbow fish. "Come on, rainbow fish," they would call. "Come and play with us." But the rainbow fish would just glide on past, proud and silent, letting his scales shimmer. Oops, sorry. I'm getting used to which way to turn the book here. There we are. There's the other fishies over there. One day, a little blue fish followed after him. "Rainbow fish," he called, "wait for me. Please give me one of your shiny scales. They are so wonderful, and you have so many." Rainbow fish again. There's the little blue guy. "You want me to give you one of my scales? Who do you think you are?" cried the rainbow fish. "Get away from me." Shocked, the little blue fish swam away. He was so upset, he told all of his friends what had happened. From then on, no one would have anything to do with the rainbow fish. They turned away when he swam by. There's the other fish. Here's our rainbow fish. That's what happens when you don't share. People don't get very happy with you. What good were his dazzling, shimmering scales with no one to admire them? Now the rainbow fish was the loneliest fish in the entire ocean. One day he poured out his troubles to the starfish. "I am really beautiful. Why doesn't anybody like me?" "I can't answer that for you," said the starfish. "But if you go beyond the coral reef to a deep cave, you will find a wise octopus. Maybe she can help you." The rainbow fish found the cave. It was very dark inside, and he couldn't see anything. Then suddenly, two eyes caught him in their glare, and the octopus emerged from the darkness. the rainbow fish on this side. And that octopus looking with those big eyes. I have been waiting for you, said the octopus with a deep voice. The waves have told me your story. This is my advice. Give a glittering scale to each of the other fish. You will no longer be the most beautiful fish in the sea, but you will discover how to be happy. I can't, the rainbow fish started to say, but the octopus had already disappeared into a dark cloud of ink. Give away my scales, my beautiful shining scales? Never! How could I ever be happy without them? Suddenly, he felt the light touch of a fin. The little blue fish was back. Rainbow fish, please don't be angry. I just want one little scale. The rainbow fish wavered. Only one very, very small shimmery scale, he thought. Well, maybe I wouldn't miss just one. Carefully, the rainbow fish pulled out the smallest scale and gave it to the little blue fish. Thank you very much, the little blue fish bubbled playfully as he tucked the shiny scale in among his blue ones. A rather peculiar feeling came over the rainbow fish. For a long time, he watched the little blue fish swim back and forth with his new scale glittering in the water. Make sure we see that. The little blue fish whizzed through the ocean with his scale flashing. So it didn't take long before the rainbow fish was surrounded by all of the other fish. Everyone wanted a glittering scale. The rainbow fish shared his scales left and right, and the more he gave away, the more delighted he became. When the water around him filled with glimmering scales, he at last felt at home among the other fish. Aw. Can we see? There we are. Finally, the rainbow fish had only one shining scale left. His most prized possessions had been given away, yet he was very happy. Come on, rainbow fish, they called. Come and play with us. Here I come, said the rainbow fish, and, happy as a splash, he swam off to join his friends. Aw. They all have a shining scale in there somewhere, I think. Whoops, sorry. I'm trying to get it in the shot. So nice of him to share. And that is the end. We just have the rainbow fish here with his one shimmery scale. All right. Well, that was the end of that story. And as you know, on Stories and Songs with Jessie, I always share stories and also songs. So, last night, a good friend of mine, her name is Tori. Shout out to you, Tori. She's a DJ and she DJs karaoke in my local area. She had a Disney night last night, which I absolutely loved. And this was a song that I didn't get a chance to sing last night, so I'm going to share it with you all. It's called Once Upon a Dream from Sleeping Beauty. I know you, I've walked with you once upon a dream. I know you, the gleam in your eyes is so familiar a gleam, and I know it's true that visions are seldom all they seem. But if I know you, I know what you'll do. You'll love me at once, the way you did once upon a dream. But if I know you, I know what you'll do. You'll love me at once, the way you did once upon a dream. I know you, I walked with you once upon a dream. I know you, that gleam in your eye is so familiar a gleam, and I know it's true that visions are seldom all they seem. But if I know you, I know what you'll do. You'll love me at once, the way you did once upon a dream. Woo! Okay. And that was the end of that song. Maybe I'll have a little bit of time for another one later. We'll have to see. But there is another book that I'd like to share with all you kiddos, parents, those who are young at heart who are watching. If you just joined us, this is the Berks County Quarantine Children's Hour with stories and songs with Jessie. So, I was doing some browsing around my basement, and I actually found this book. It's a bit of a zany story, but I thought that it was cute, so I thought I'd share it with you. And Sleeping Beauty was one. I sang a song from that movie a couple minutes ago. So, but this book is called Sleeping Ugly, and I actually feel like that I can really relate to this book. And I think you'll see why, just because of the content of the story and the moral that is at the end. So, this is Sleeping Ugly. Princess Miserella was a beautiful princess if you counted her eyes and nose and mouth, and all the way down to her toes. But on the inside, where it was hard to see, Miserella was the meanest, wickedest, and most worthless princess around. She liked stepping on dogs. She kicked kittens. That's really mean. She threw pies in the cook's face, and she never, not even once, said thank you or please. And besides, she told lies. But in that very same kingdom, in the middle of the woods, lived a poor orphan named Plain Jane. She certainly was. Her hair was short and turned down. Her nose was long and turned up. And even if they had been the other way around, she would not have been a great beauty. But she loved animals, and she was always kind to strange old ladies. There's Plain Jane. One day, Princess Miserella rode out of the palace in a huff. A huff is not a kind of carriage, it's a kind of temper tantrum. Her usual kind. She rode and rode and rode and looked beautiful as always, even with her hair in tangles. She rode right into the middle of the woods and was soon lost. She got off her horse and slapped it sharply for losing the way. Again, very rude. She's not a nice princess. The horse said nothing, but ran straight back home. It had known the way back home all along, but it was not about to tell Miserella. I wouldn't have either. So there was the princess, lost in a dark wood. It made her look even prettier. Suddenly, Princess Miserella tripped over a little old lady asleep under a tree. Now, little old ladies who sleep under trees deep in a dark wood are almost always fairies in disguise. Miserella guessed who the little old lady was, but she did not care. She kicked the old lady on the bottoms of her feet. "Get up and take me home," said the princess. So the little old lady got to her feet very slowly, for the bottoms now hurt. She took Miserella by the hand. She only used her thumb and second finger to hold Miserella's hand. Fairies know quite a bit about that kind of princess. They walked and walked even deeper into the wood. There they found a little house. It was plain Jane's house. It was dreary. The floors sank, the walls stank, the roof leaked even on sunny days. But Jane made the best of it. She planted roses around the door, and little animals and birds made their home with her. That may be why the floors sank and the walls stank, but no one complained. "This is not my home," said Miserella with a sniff. "Nor mine," said the fairy. They walked in without knocking, and there was Jane. "It is mine," she said. The princess looked at Jane, down and up and down. "Take me home," said Miserella, "and as a reward, I'll make you my maid." Plain Jane smiled a thin little smile. It did not improve her looks or the princess's mood. "Some reward," said the fairy to herself. Out loud, she said, "If you could take us both home, I could probably squeeze out a wish or two." "Make it 3, said Miserella to the fairy, "and I'll get us home." Plain Jane smiled again. The birds began to sing. "My hope is, excuse me, my home is your home," said Jane. "I like your manners," said the fairy, "and for that good thought, I'll give 3 wishes to you." Princess Miserella was not pleased. She stamped her foot. "Do that again," said the fairy, taking a pine wand from her pocket, "and I'll turn that foot to stone." Just to be mean, Miserella stomped her foot again. It turned to stone. Wrong page. Sorry, guys. Plain Jane sighed. "My first wish is that you change her foot back." The fairy made a face. "I like your manners, but not your taste," she said to Jane. "Still, a wish is a wish." The fairy moved her wand. The princess shook her foot. It was no longer made of stone. "Guess my foot fell asleep for a moment," said Miserella. She really liked to lie. "Besides," the princess said, "that was a stupid way to waste a wish." The fairy was angry. "Do not call someone stupid unless you have been properly introduced," she said, "or are a member of the family." "Stupid, stupid, stupid," said Miserella. She hated to be told what to do. "Say stupid again," warned the fairy, holding up her wand, "and I will make toads come out of your mouth." "Stupid!" shouted Miserella. And as she said it, a great big toad dropped out of her mouth. Ugh. "Cute," said Jane, picking up the toad. "And I do like toads, but—" "But?" asked the fairy. Miserella did not open her mouth. Toads were among her least favorite animals. "But," said plain Jane, "my second wish is that you get rid of the mouth toads." "She's lucky it wasn't mouth elephants," mumbled the fairy. She waved her pine wand. Miserella opened her mouth slowly. Nothing came out but her tongue. She pointed it at the fairy. Princess Miserella looked miserable. That made her look beautiful, too. "I definitely have had enough," she said. "I want to go home." She grabbed plain Jane's arm. "Gently, gently," said the old fairy, shaking her head. "If you are not gentle with magic, none of us will go anywhere." "You can go where you want," said Miserella, "but there is only one place I want to go." "To sleep," said the fairy, who was now much too mad to remember to be gentle. When she waved her wand, she waved it so hard, she hit the wall of Jane's house. The wall broke, the wand broke, the spell broke, and before Jane could make her third wish, all three of them had fallen asleep. It was one of those famous 100-year naps that need a prince and a kiss to end them. So they slept and slept in the cottage in the wood. They slept through 3.5 wars, 1 plague, 6 new kings, the invention of the sewing machine, and the discovery of a new continent. That is a long sleep. The cottage was deep in the woods, so very few princes passed by, and none of the ones who did even tried the door. At the end of the 100 years, a prince named Jojo, who was the youngest son of a youngest son, and so had no gold or jewels or property to speak of, came into the woods. It began to rain, so he stepped into the cottage over the broken wall. He saw 3 women asleep with spider webs holding them to the floor. One of them was a beautiful princess. Being the kind of young man who reads fairy tales, Jojo knew just what to do. But because he was the youngest son of a youngest son with no gold or jewels or property to speak of, he had never kissed anyone before, except his mother, which didn't count, and his father, who had a beard. Jojo thought he should practice before he tried kissing the princess. He also wondered if she would like marrying a prince with no property or gold or jewels to speak of. Jojo knew with princesses that sort of thing really matters. So he puckered up his lips and kissed the old fairy on the nose. It was quite pleasant. She smelled slightly of cinnamon. He moved on to Jane. He puckered up his lips and kissed her on the mouth. It was delightful. She smelled of wildflowers. He moved on to the beautiful princess. Just then the fairy and plain Jane woke up. Prince Jojo's kisses had worked. The fairy picked up the pieces of her wand. Jane looked at the prince and remembered the kiss, as if it were a dream. "I wish he loved me," she said softly to herself. "Very good wish," the fairy said to herself. She waved the 2 pieces of wand gently. The prince looked at Miserella, who was having a bad dream and enjoying it. Even frowning, she was beautiful. But Jojo knew that kind of princess. He had 3 cousins just like her, pretty on the outside, but ugly within. He remembered the smell of wildflowers and turned back to Jane. "I love you," he said. "What is your name?" So they lived happily ever after in Jane's cottage, and the prince fixed the roof and the wall and built a house next door for the old fairy. They used the sleeping princess as a conversation piece when friends came to visit, or sometimes they stood her up, still fast asleep, in the hallway and let her hold coats and hats. But never did they let anyone kiss her awake, not even their children, who numbered 3. A moral of the story: let sleeping princesses lie, or lying princesses sleep, whichever seems the wisest. There we go. And that brings me up to my time, it looks like. So thank you so much for listening. Enjoy the rest of Berks County Quarantine's open mic story hour. Bye-bye.